Welcome to the Mysteries of the Paranormal. I'm your host, Allison. Here, I'll talk all about mythology, folklore, and cryptids. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Mysteries of the Paranormal. As usual, I am your host, Allison, and today we're going to be talking about the Dover Demon. So this, from doing some research, has become one of my favorite cryptids to really learn about. So the first appearance of the Dover Demon took place in Dover, Massachusetts, in the year of 1977. This cryptid is classified as an alien and is said to be about 3 to 4 feet tall, which plays a part in some of the encounters that we're going to be hearing about later. This, oddly enough, happened to take place over 2 nights and only 2 nights. The events first took place on October 21st in 1977. Dover is one of the wealthiest towns in Massachusetts and is only 15 miles southeast from Boston. The location is heavily wooded with pastures and fields. It is said that it is filled with barns and houses, typically spaced out a few hundred feet apart from each other. So, lots of room, lots of empty space to be able to clearly see it. And this is where the encounters begin. The first encounter was April 21st. The sightings began in April of 1977 when 3 17-year-olds were driving north on Dover's Farm Street. It is said that on that night the sky was clear and it was a whole 55 degrees at the time of the sighting. So a fairly cool night on a clear sky. The three spotted something creeping along a low wall of loose stones on the left side of the road, which again, the left side playing a part in these other encounters. At first, the three thought it was just a dog until the headlights hit the creature directly and realized it was something that they had never seen before. Apparently, the creature slowly turned its head, looked into the headlights of the car. They claimed that the creature had large, round, glassy eyes, shining brightly, and they referred to the eyes as 2 orange marbles. They also said it had a watermelon-like shaped head resting on top of a very thin neck. The creature was supposedly thin, with the exception of the oversized head, with long arms and legs, large hands and feet. The skin was hairless and peach-colored, and appeared to have rough skin. The figure stood, as mentioned before, about 3 to 4 feet tall. The second encounter happened 2 hours later, but now into the early morning, which made it April 22nd, and only 1 mile away. On the same night as the previous, a young adult had spotted the creature. At about midnight, the 15-year-old left his girlfriend's house. He was walking up the left side of the road, walking for about a mile up. Then he noticed someone walking towards him. He thought it was one of his friends and called out to whom he thought it was. There was an overcast now, but he was about 20 feet apart. He didn't recognize who the figure was. He could only see a shadowy form. He takes another step forward to try to get a better look, but as he did, the figure scurried off, running down a shallow gully and up the opposite bank. The young man could hear the footsteps as the figure ran off. He followed the creature down the slope and then stopped at the gully. It was about this time when he could see the creature, which was about 30 feet away from where he was standing. The creature was leaning towards a nearby tree and had long fingers. To the young man, the creature's body seemed to look like a monkey, with the exception of the creature's head, which is shaped like a figure 8. The creature was looking at him, and not ever seeing a creature like this before, he then slowly started to walk back up the slope and picked up his pace once he got back to the street. As soon as he got home, he then drew a picture of what the creature looked like. Coincidentally, the drawing of these first two sightings seemed to be eerily similar, despite the different positions that these two young men drew them in. Also, another difference is one was drawn in color, while the other was drawn in black and white. The young man's girlfriend, whose house he was leaving, was unaware of the encounter that these two had until 5 days later. She became aware when these two young men were talking about it and then showed each other their drawings. This last and final encounter that took place was again on April 22nd, but the following night. The creature was seen once again. A young man was driving his girlfriend home when they had their encounter. As they were driving, the young woman spotted something in the headlights once again on the left side of the road. The sighting seemed to take place a little over a mile northwest from the second sighting and roughly 2.5 miles northeast from the first. This causes the sightings to make a straight line on the map. The creature was down on all fours, and as mentioned in the past two encounters, had an enlarged head. There was no nose, ears, or mouth, was hairless, and its skin, as she described, to be tan or beige, and its eyes glowed green. The young man only caught glimpses of the creature, but got a good enough look to know it had a large head and a tan body. He couldn't tell what it was, but knew it wasn't a dog. Since he didn't get the greatest look, he asked his girlfriend to describe him what she had seen. An investigator wrote that the Dover demon was disturbing, a bizarre affair, and went on to write that they thought it was a hoax that was unlikely to happen. The investigator thought it should be classified as unknown. In modern times, not much about this area has changed. A plaque is now dedicated to the Dover demon that still lines the farm road in which the first sighting took place. I just want to thank you guys for tuning in for another episode of Mysteries of the Paranormal. Be sure to find me, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at The Mysteries of the Paranormal. You can also follow this on YouTube at Mysteries of the Paranormal. You can email me at themysteriesoftheparanormal@gmail.com. I'd love to hear what y'all have to say, what y'all's encounters are, if y'all have any encounters with a cryptid. If you know of someone that has an encounter, I'd love to hear from you guys and just y'all's experiences. Also, be sure to comment or DM or email me what y'all want to hear next, and I'm going to start having some guests on as well. So hopefully it's not just me, but thank y'all for tuning in on another episode. See y'all later. You can find this podcast at The Mysteries of the Paranormal on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Be sure to tune in every week for a brand new episode, wherever you get your podcast or at roguemedianetwork.com.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.